Okay, let's get to the fun part. I love this one. So now we have to talk about trespassing. It sounds like an easy subject, but it's not that easy on the exams. They like to trick people. They love it, actually. So they'll give you a lot of different stories. So please watch out. Sometimes you'll be lucky and you'll get a tiny, small question. I'll show you those ones too, but a lot of times they like to give you stories. Okay, so let's talk about trespass. Now, what is a trespass? Happens in 3 different ways when you wrongful entry the property. So when somebody tells you, do not walk in, do not cross, or you're just running for the bus and you're not trying to trespass, but it just happens, right? You just cross the property. So what happens? That's wrongful entry. So wrongful entry has to happen voluntarily. So voluntarily action enters without the permission. So just by crossing somebody else's lot, you are trespassing. How do you know if it's trespassing? You ask yourself a question. Did I put my own foot on somebody else's property? And if that was a voluntary action done by you, then you just trespassed. Isn't that interesting? So that's what they're referring to. Now, option 2, it says wrongful remaining, remains after the right of stay has entered. So if you went to the store and you broke something expensive and they come to you and says, oh, but can you please leave the property? And you say, yeah, sure. And you remain shopping on that property. Then if somebody asks you to leave and you still remain on the property, that's going to be a wrongful remaining, and that's still a trespass. And look at option number 3, it says wrongful placing an object. When they're referring to placing an object, so it could be anything. You playing golf and one of your balls flies to your neighbor's property, that becomes a wrongful placing because you're the one who placed that object in somebody else's lot. Right? So it could be something small, or you kicked a rock and that rock flew in and ended up on somebody else's property. That's also a trespass. So for them, trespass can happen in so many different ways, and you have to understand that it's a voluntarily action. I'll give you a lot of examples right now so you can get a better understanding of this. So the key facts about the trespass. So this is something for you to understand. So must be an intentional or the direct act. Cannot be indirect, it could be unintentional. So let me explain what I mean by this. So when you cross in through somebody else's property, you're just running for the bus and you're just trying to make it on time. So you don't even think, but you're just flying through somebody else's property. Now that's still a trespass. Why? Because it was a voluntary action. So that means you are the one who put that foot in somebody else's property. So that's what they mean by direct action. So direct action has to be done by you. Now, what if I was just walking on a path and you were the one who's running for the bus and you pushed me out of your way and I fell on somebody else's property? Am I trespassing or you trespassing? I'm the one who fell, but it was not a direct action, not by me. It's you who pushed me, right? So indirect. So if that was not me who pushed myself in there, so I wouldn't be trespassing, but you're the one who pushed me, then it will be this one, wrongful placing an object. So you place me on somebody else's property, that means you become a trespasser, right? Do you see how it works? So it has to be intentional. It has to be done by you. Now, I actually have a question for you right now. So what if, and on the exam, they trick people with this story. They say, what if, let's say you are my real estate agent, and I tell you that I want you to go on my neighbor's property and pick up flowers from his property and bring it to me. And I say, you're working for me, right? You're my real estate agent, so go do that for me. I want those flowers from his yard. How do you feel? Okay, so if you go, even though you don't want to, and do what I ask you to do, are you responsible for this? So think about this one for a second. We'll come back to this one, okay? So are we responsible for that? Are you trespassing by walking? Or did I force you? Okay, so think about this one. So only person in actual possession of the land can sue the trespasser. So whoever is on that land, it could be just the rent. If you're renting, you still have a possession of this property. That means you have rights to sue them for trespassing. An actionable per se, for the exam, they like this one. It's a Latin word. It just means that whoever trespass, there's no evidence of a damage is required. We have some bugs here. No evidence of a damage is required. Damage is not necessary to sue for the trespass. So basically, when somebody just puts the foot on your property, they already trespass. And for that reason, you still can sue them for that, and you don't have to prove to court that, oh, he damaged my property somehow. No, no evidence is required. As long as you put your foot in there with a voluntary action, that's it. It's enough, okay? Indirect action is not a trespass. So let me explain you this one. Indirect action, one of the example will be will be the wind. So the wind is blowing and it's very hard, like it's very strong wind, and because of the strong wind, one of your branches flew to your neighbor's property and broke his window or something like that. So, but anyway, so it just landed on his property. So would that be a trespass? Okay, think about this one. Did you pull up that branch? Did you throw that branch to your neighbor's property because you hate him? You haven't done so. It was not a voluntary action. It was not a direct action. It's not like you took it and you threw it. So if you've done that, that would be a trespass. But because it was happened by nature, it was not a direct action. It happened by nature, by wind, then that becomes not a trespass. You see what I mean? So trespass has to be done directly by you. It has to be by your actions. Now, I'll give you another example. Tell me what this one. There's a statue of you in your backyard, and you haven't been taking care of that statue. Okay? You just let it decay in there, deteriorate, and because you were not taking care of that statue fell on your neighbor's property. Now he's enjoying you in his property. So my question is that a trespass by statue falling to your neighbor's property? Is it a trespass? Let's see what you say, yes or no. Okay. My second question, did you push that statue? Says, you know what, I'm tired of this and I know it's all falling apart, but I'm just going to push it. And because of you push it fell. Is that what happened? Or did it fall by itself? It fell by itself. So is that a direct or is that an indirect action in this case? Do you see? Even though you were the one who haven't taken care of the statue, but it doesn't really matter. If it fell by itself, then it's not a trespass because you did not touch it. So if it doesn't come from you, doesn't come from your playing the basketball, whatever, if the action doesn't happen from your actions, that you haven't pushed it, then it's not a trespass. That means it was indirect action. It happened by nature. Okay? So that statue is not a trespass because you haven't pushed it. Okay, so let's talk about the exceptions. So involuntary action. So again, if I was walking on the path and you're the one who pushed me, I involuntarily fell in there. So for that reason, I'm not trespassing. Right? Lawful exercise of the right of way. So if somebody has the rights to go through your property, so it says they have an easement on your property, or if you have tenants in your basements, they have right of way. They have ways to come and enter the property, and it's not a trespass anymore. So an express or implied permission of the occupier, that's also an exception. That means it's not a trespass. So what it means, if you're just going to enter a property, just to knock on the door, says, do you want to sell your house? Do you want to sell your house? You're allowed to do that. Or you want to buy my cookies? You can do that. So that's not a trespass. As long as you're using the path and you're walking towards the house, that's fine. That's implied permission that you're allowed to talk to the owner. But if he puts the sign in there, no soliciting, okay, don't come close. Then if you come and try to do the soliciting, then that will be a trespass. So basically, if there's no sign, says no soliciting, then you're allowed to come to that owner and talk to him. But if he puts the sign in there, it says no soliciting, and you still come and want to sell him something or ask him if he wants to sell, then that would be a trespass. You get the point, right? An airplane flying to the top of your property. Airplane, yes, you have the airspace, but it's not that far. So airplanes is not considered to be as a trespassing because they are way farther than your space, right? Unless it crashes on your property, that is a different stuff. Entry under the statutory authority. So if the government wants to come and put a BC hydro poles in your yard, they're allowed to. They can do whatever they want. Entry by the person in order to abate the nuisance. We'll talk about this one. But if somebody makes too much noise, then you're allowed to come and knock on the door and says, quiet it down. You know, to just put the noise down. So you're allowed to do things like this. Okay, so there's a lot of examples in here for you. I'll give you even more. What if you decided to parachute? You know, for fun, jumping off the airplane. And while you're parachuting, you couldn't control it properly because the wind and the wind blew you off and you landed on somebody else's property. Now, would that be a trespass? Okay? Think about two things. Was that a voluntary action? Did you jump from that airplane for fun? It was voluntary, right? Ask yourself the next question. Did you place yourself there, or was it indirect action by the wind? So if you voluntarily jump, it's like playing a basketball, right? So if you shoot in your ball and it goes through the hoop and it lands on your property, then you're good. But if that ball jumps off the hoop and bounces and it lands on your neighbor's property, then that becomes trespass. Why? Because the action happened from you. You're the one who started the action. You're the one who threw the ball. You get my point? And if that ball bounces and lands somewhere else, then that's on you. So you have to see when did the action started and when did it finished. So if, in this case with the ball, if it bounces off your hoop and lands on your neighbor's property, then it's a trespass because you're the one who started the action and that action happened, ended up on somebody else's property. Do you get the point? What if I was drinking my coffee and I put my coffee cup on my table and the wind blew it off and it landed on my neighbor's property? Now, would that be a trespass now? Where did I start the action? Yes, I did. When did my action finished? When I put it into the, on the coffee table, that's when my action is finished. So I'm not trespassing anymore. And if the wind blew it off after my action is finished, then it's not a trespass. It becomes indirect thing, right? So that's okay. Go back to the parachuting. So if you're jumping off the airplane and then you land somewhere else, did I start my action by jumping off? Yes, you did. So where do you land? It's up to you. So it's not about the wind now. It's about, did I start the action? Where did that action finish? If it finishes up on somebody else's property, then you are trespassing. Do you see there's so many examples they can throw at you, and there's so many different stories they can give you, but you have to be smart enough. So if it's voluntary, happened by you, then that's what happens. What if, what else? They give you an example. They give you, Vivian was rollerblading and she fell, she was unconscious, and people pull her over on the property where it says no trespassing. Is she trespassing? People pull her over on the property where it says no trespassing. No, she's not, because it was not a voluntary action. But those people that are helping her, are they trespassing? This is another exception, and I'm sure it's going to come up at some point when you're helping people, right? When you're helping somebody or you're helping your own life. So if you're jumping off that parachute because it's crashing and you have to jump, then that's not a trespass. If you're running for your life from the dog and the dog is chasing you, then you're not trespassing because you're helping somebody. It's called the abatement. We're going to get to there, okay? But right now, just you see what I mean? This is why this chapter is a bit more, it has a lot of information and you have to think.